Well, I'm joined now from New York by McKay Coppins, who's the political editor of BuzzFeed, the political and social online news site. McKay Coppins, this is really only a temporary sticking plaster, isn't it? So we've got the prospect of this whole charade all over again in a few weeks' time.
Right, that's absolutely right. And I mean, look, if you've been paying attention to American politics, we've been doing this every few months for about 3 years now. This has been really the product and kind of the most dramatic moment in 3 years of brinksmanship in Washington since the Tea Party movement sent a flood of conservative Republicans into the House of Representatives and kind of sent them to Washington to shake things up and really to do what they've been doing. Now, obviously, most Washington veterans will say, this is absurd. We can't govern a country like this. And a lot of people around the world are looking at the American government and saying, really, is this how you're going to run your country? But ultimately, the conservative movement in the United States is happy with the way Ted Cruz and his acolytes have behaved. And I think we're going to see a lot more of it in the coming months.
Really, I was going to ask you, is this some kind of turning point for the Republicans? I mean, is there a chance that the moderate Republicans get their party back from the Tea Party activists? Or is there a prospect, because there's such an extensive identity crisis now, that it triggers some kind of schism in the Republicans?
Yeah, the Republican Party has been in the wilderness since 2012, really, when Mitt Romney lost the presidency and a number of Republicans lost seats in the House of Representatives and the Senate. But I don't know, there are some optimists out there who say that this could be the moment where the Republican fever breaks. I'm not so sure. I mean, that was certainly the bet that the president was making, where he basically refused to negotiate with them, saying, we're not going to let the Republican Party use the debt ceiling as a leverage point anymore. We can't set that precedent. He ended up emerging victorious, but you heard Ted Cruz there, after kind of admitting defeat, he actually made the point that I think the House of Representatives has shown profiles in courage today, and I hope that they continue to listen to the American people and do the same thing going forward. So I'm a little skeptical about whether this is actually a turning point.
It's just delusional, that viewpoint.
Well, you can call it delusional, but it was probably, it was probably delusional to believe that you could defund or repeal Obamacare at the outset of this, but a lot of Republicans followed Ted Cruz into that battle. So I don't know if they've really completely learned that lesson.
But obviously the Democrats haven't escaped blame too. Should Obama have been less intransigent? Is this going to damage him politically a lot too?
Sure. I mean, look, throughout the government shutdown, which has lasted 16 days now, President Obama's approval ratings have sunk to the lowest level in his entire presidency. Different polls show it around 38 to 42%. So a significant portion of the country is unhappy with him, unhappy with Democrats, and really unhappy with all of Washington. So President Obama is coming out of this fight looking to get back on message, to pursue the agenda that he laid out in his re-election campaign. But it remains to be seen whether he'll really have that much momentum, since so much of the country is so disgusted with their elected officials at this point.
McKay Coppins, thank you very much for joining us.